sometimes identity becomes connected with being seen a certain way. Successful, admired, validated, being needed, being the mother, the partner, the healer. So if I'm not that anymore, then who am I? And that is where the reinvention begins with that total solar eclipse. You are your own portal. You can absolutely get out of any situation your mind is telling you you can't get out of.
Hi, I'm Danielle, Reinvention Rose Queen and Identity Change Mentor who made her greatest quantum leaps in life at 40 and 50. I help women turn major midlife changes into potent identity shift portals. And this is my friend Corey, fashion designer and evolutionary astrologer. Corey helps sensitives whose lives are no longer making sense navigate the uncertain territory between an old identity and a new chapter. And together, using the astrology of identity and change channelings, we help you bravely step over the identity threshold from your old self into the new. My dear friend Corey, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Daniel. How are you doing?
Let's dive straight in because yesterday we had this mega peak of the Lionsgate, the 888. And we are talking today about the total solar eclipse on the 12th of August coming up, which is very much related to this Lionsgate, right, Corey?
It is. It is absolutely related and quite unprecedented in the way that, we had that big portal really asking us who are we and what do we want to release. And this total solar eclipse is really asking us, who are you without the identity you have outgrown? So if you're going through any career, relationship, midlife, crisis, reinvention, this video is for you. This total solar eclipse is for you. Stay tuned because we have practical tips on how to work with that energy.
It is right now, as we are in Leo, because you mentioned the practical tips, it is all about embodiment, isn't it, Corey? So would you be so kind to dive into the astrology? What do we need to know about this total solar eclipse and how to work with it?
Absolutely. I think, first of all, very briefly, because it's important to always relate the astronomy with the astrology. One works with the other. So, astronomically, what happens during a total solar eclipse is that the moon moves between the Earth and the sun, and temporarily blocks the sun from the view. So, on August 12th, the path of totality crosses mainly Greenland, Iceland, and parts of Spain, where I'm located, and amongst other locations. Now, astrology.
And so when you say the path of totality, that means the countries where they will be able to see it.
Absolutely, where the light would be blocked 90% plus. And now, astrologically, which is also really interesting because, as you rightfully said, the sun represents our conscious identity, our vitality, our creative center, if you may. And the part of us that says, this is who I am, right? So symbolically, this image of the sun disappearing is incredibly powerful because sometimes life does exactly that to us. Something that we used to identify with us disappears. A relationship that ends, a career changes, money goes, a home changes, the body changes, the children grow up, a role ends. So if I'm not that anymore, then who am I? And that is where the reinvention begins with that total solar eclipse. The I am is being eclipsed so that you can reflect on that.
So the real question will then be, who am I?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the central question because this solar eclipse is happening actually at 20 degrees of Leo. We're going to be very succinct with it, but this matters and you will see why. As you said, Daniel, Leo is associated with the heart, with the creativity, the individuality, the joy. But the Leo has a shadow, as everything has light and shadow. Sometimes identity becomes connected with being seen a certain way, being successful, admired, validated, being needed, being the mother, the partner, the healer, whatever this identity is. So, and because this eclipse occurs on the south node side of the Leo Aquarius axis, I do believe that one of the most useful questions we can ask is have I confused the role, the identity through which I express myself with who I actually am?
I love that. I love that because the south node is what we're letting go of, right? The south node is those patterns and identity that we are used to letting go of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you have, and we'll come back to it, but having you have an amazing ritual about identity shift, whereas like you can be like in midlife or in any kind of like threshold where you invite the viewers to also look at their old identity, but not to kill everything from this old identity. What do you want to take from that old identity and integrate? This total solar eclipse absolutely invite you to do that. So first, I invite anyone watching that to watch the identity threshold ritual from Daniel,
Thank
because
you.
that will really serve you, because that is absolutely what it's timeless, first of all, and that's what is going to help you. It's a south node, as you said, so it's about release. So either you are like in two configuration. You can be someone who is people pleasing, who doesn't have a lot of I'm deserving of that. So this total solar eclipse is asking you, you deserve that. You deserve to shine individually. You deserve to dream a bigger dream. You deserve to dream a new dream. And the identity that was there before may have served you beautifully, but the identity that protected you, South Node, may not be the identity that will carry you forward. You can integrate parts of it, but it doesn't mean like it needs to come with you. And may I say something very also important? Because obviously we talk about this point astrologically, but the bigger question I do believe is this: is that Jupiter is in Leo. So when Jupiter is in Leo, it expands anything it touches. So if you say you don't have a lot of self confidence, it will make you see that lack of self confidence. Saturn is in Aries. So Aries is a fire sign, and Leo is a fire sign as well. Jupiter and Saturn are in conversation. In astrology, we call that a trine. It's a positive aspect, how they relate to each other. But without the jargon, what it is really asking, for me, it's incredibly important. It's not asking you become bigger, become more self-confident, implement a new routine, or become that new identity. No, Jupiter will expand any delusion, any point that is distorted coming from a shadow. Saturn is the father of the discipline. So what this is saying to me, and maybe you can tell me what you think, it's more, can I build a structure capable of holding who I am becoming? Can my body sustain it? Can my nervous system sustain it? Can my relationships sustain it? Can my routines sustain it? And this is what I mean when I talk also like soul to soil, because astrology shows you the map. The astrology in the skies collectively shows the map, but eventually the insight, they have to become a boundary, a decision, a routine, a ritual like yours, Daniel, a conversation or an action. Otherwise, it remains an idea. And that is what this total solar eclipse is asking um, us to focus on.
Yeah, I totally get that. And you know, you were speaking about the shadow of Leo, and one of the shadow sides of Leo can be that they can be um, egomaniacal, like
Yeah.
really, in a sense, maybe delusional of what it is that they are capable of doing,
Yeah.
and not having enough self awareness to really be honest about whether that is true or not.
Mm-hmm.
And to make it true, so anything you think about yourself right now, or what you think that you want to be, to make it true, you will have to be able to actually practically embody it, to live it. It
Yeah.
cannot just remain something, some dream, that you have in your mind about yourself. How is this actually going to show up in your life? And I know that you and I, Corey, we are very much about the practical side as
Mm.
well, because I think a lot of the delusion also in spirituality in these past in this past decade has
Yeah.
been that people just dream and assume, but when it comes to really those Saturn things of building the thing, that's when people don't show up.
Yeah.
And this eclipse will not allow for that any longer.
No, absolutely. And you know what's coming to my mind right now is that, as you rightfully said, is we are coming into the age we call the age of Aquarius, and I would call it the age of embodiment, right? And I think that can speak to a lot of people. Obviously, we had Saturn in Pisces, that was there, and it entered set in Aries, that fire sign, which Saturn doesn't like being in Aries. It loves Saturn is a slow pace planet. It rewards discipline and commitment. Aries is the initiation. It's I'm giving just the archetype. It's not obviously the reality for everyone. It depends on your placement.
Mhm.
That's why obviously having a one-to-one reading can help dive deeper into that. But
Yeah.
what's starting and what's being released starting on August the 12th is an arc that is starting then and will run up until at least the 2nd of August 2027, where we have another total solar eclipse, which is the biggest solar eclipse of the century. It will literally block out the whole light in the whole world, most of it, most of the whole world, August 2nd, and it will be completely aligned with the pyramid in Egypt,
Mm.
which people obviously are relating that with something even more deeper, because for that to happen, absolutely aligned with the pyramids is something quite huge. We
That
are
is
entering,
insane.
it's insane, right? So this one is a prelude. Normally, we always have kind of like three solar eclipses. This time around, we have two solar eclipses connected in this axis. So it's going to be short, kind of short, a year and a half. But what it is you are not willing to release might just release itself, whether you're willing or not. But it's better to work with it, and it's better to go with that flow, but also to put the actions, as you said, into practice. Everyone has Aquarius and Leo in their chart, so I would invite you to look at where you have those placements, in which
Mhm.
houses. If it's, for instance, just to give an example to people, if you have Leo in the second house and Aquarius obviously opposite in the eighth house, you're releasing maybe the way you see your self-worth. Maybe you stop feeling small about, oh, I don't deserve that amount of money, or maybe you're not charging enough, or maybe you have a tendency to not manage money in a good way. And the North Node in Aquarius with that solar eclipse will be asking you, okay, but how can I show up with my full self individually without losing myself in the collective? So that's a way to work with it. And
Yeah.
that's also obviously a way we can help you with that.
Mm. Beautiful. What would you say the number one thing that people should be doing at this eclipse,
Yeah.
in your opinion? What is the number one thing everyone should be doing at this eclipse?
Practically, I would say it's not a moment of wanting to manifest. What I suggest you to do what your heart is calling you to do. Your agency, first of all, do not give your agency to anyone, and be very careful to who you watch online. That is also what I want to say to people, because nowadays I also think, I'm going to throw something in out and I don't care. It's more in the spiritual industry. I also believe that a lot of people are misleading people, and that solar eclipse arc is going to show that to a lot of people. So first of all, listen to your heart and to your own intuition. What I suggest you to do, I would ask myself, yourself, some questions. What identity am I afraid to lose? To really be so, be abs- ask yourself the questions and answer those questions as though there is no one in the room, and ask yourself the questions you are so afraid to tell others. Be so transparent with yourself that it that you would fear saying that to others, because that will this is where you get to the real work. The second question, what did that identity give me? Belonging, approval, security, recognition, or love? And why do you think you're attached to that outcome? The third question I would ask myself is, what is maintaining that identity costing me at the moment? And why are you afraid to let that go? Is it because it gives you a sense of control? You can dive deep into that, but really be honest with yourself from the heart. And finally, if you no longer needed to prove who you were, the Leo South Node, right? To prove who you were, what would you actually want to create next? And that is the question that I think is the most important.
Yeah, and because that will take you into the energy of Aquarius, right? That will take you into the energy of innovation, of the newness. And when I say innovation, I mean innovation of self, right? That
Yeah.
will take you basically into a more honest new identity.
The time for playing small is really over.
Yes.
I encourage you to stop, because I do believe the people watching us will relate to that. Um, Daniel and myself, both individually and as a collaboration, we've been working with people, and we see the pattern of people having such gifts to give to the world, but they are blocked within a wound of I'm not good enough. I'm people pleasing. This is something we have seen in both our professional lives. Please, the moment is now. The moment for you to really release the scarcity mindset. Whether you are economically in a really struggling situation, in a partnership, you do not see any doorway, you are your own portal. You can absolutely get out of any situation your mind is telling you you can't get out of. This is what the solar eclipse is asking you of. This is a solar eclipse that is asking you to stop believing everything you are seeing, the news, the spiritual community, the Instagram things. You are your own source. You have a Prime membership to Source.
Absolutely.
Only if you decide to log into it. Stop waiting for external validation, right, Daniel? This is, I felt it in my flesh. It's like, stop asking others to tell you who you are. Who am I? Only you know, only you can do the work. We can help you guide, absolutely.
Yeah.
But only you can walk through the portal and through this eclipse.
I love that so much, Corey. I loved it so much. And I've already taken hold of my rose because I can feel the channel starting to open. And so I'm going to dive into the channeling. The time for playing small is over. And boy, is that true. But the time of playing big when you are not big, the time of pretending to be big, is also over. Those lies will be exposed.